Hi everyone and welcome back to House of Elena. My name is Elena and today's video I want to talk about how to ace a job interview. My last video I discussed how we can get dressed for a job interview. And I got good feedback. A lot of people appreciated the video. So I decided to talk about how to ace a job interview. I didn't want to leave you all hanging, so I say, you know what, let me do this video. So we have a lot to talk about today, but before we get any further into the video, let me remind you all to do this.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Elena Elaine. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so we are back and there are some points that I want to discuss. I think it's very important, and I think that this video is very timely because there are so many people who have lost their jobs due to all that is going on, the pandemic and so on. And I know that the job market is going to be flooded with a lot of people looking for jobs and so on. I really wanted to try and help to prepare you all for that job interview, because as you know, if before the pandemic 40 persons were looking for a job, now it's probably double, 80, probably 100,000 persons looking for a job. So it's even going to be a bit more competitive. And like I said, I have some points. I hope I don't forget anything. This video is lengthy, so just bear with me, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about when you go for a job interview is that many times we feel that when we enter into the room, that is when we start being assessed. However, that is not really the case, especially if you're going to work for a very corporate environment. They look at you from the minute you walk through that door. So when you arrive for that job interview, what I'd recommend is that you probably arrive 10 to 15 minutes before your job interview. Most of the times when you're going on a job interview, you tend to be very nervous, so you need to be there at least 15 minutes before to get that jitters out and stuff like that. What I want to encourage you all not to do is to be on your cell phones while you're waiting to go into the room. Remember that you are being looked at from the minute you walk through that door. Please don't put the shades on your head or you're walking with earphones as well. Those things is what employers look at. They may not tell you anything, or it may seem that they're not noticing, but who knows, maybe they tell the receptionist to look out for those things, and after you leave they'll say, hey, what about that guy? What do you think about that guy? What do you think about that lady that just left? And you don't want them to have feedback that you were on your cell phone and stuff like that. So you want to probably try and be engaging to the receptionist, and that may also help you to get that jitters down, that nervousness down. So start being engaging before you enter into the room, okay? Good. So when you enter into the room, you don't sit unless your interviewer invites you to sit. Once you sit, posture comes into place. You sit upright, but not looking too tense, or your interviewer can tell that you're nervous, okay? Don't also offer to do any handshakes unless your employer stretches their hand or extends their hand, to offer a handshake. You don't do that. Once you're doing that handshake, make sure it's a firm handshake. Make sure you're not squeezing the person's hand. I have to do a little tutorial on that in terms of a handshake and what a proper handshake should be. It should be a firm handshake, 3 palms. Make sure that you're looking at the employer, giving eye contact with a smile, of course. All right. So once you're seated, one question that you can never, ever, ever, ever get away with in a job interview is, okay, so tell me about yourself. Now, when you're answering this question, the employer is not looking to hear you have 3 children, you have a dog, you like to run. Maybe based on how the interview is going, you may be able to interject some small personal stuff in your life, but you don't want to go too deep. When an employer asks you to tell me about yourself, they're looking to hear your job history and how your personality and your competencies were able to work well throughout your working experience or your working history. All right, so that is something that you may want to prepare before you go into the job interview. Even if you have to write it down at home and look at it and sort of like kind of rehearse it, but you don't want to sound rehearsed when you're talking about that question. Okay, employers also want to know about your competencies and how you're able to fit into the job environment and whether or not you're capable of doing the job or what they're looking for. So, for example, you might be an accountant, and the company is probably using a certain software for their accounts. You may want to say how you're capable of doing that job with their software. One thing you don't want to say in job interviews is, I don't know how to do that. Once you say that, you already oust yourself and you will not get that job. Okay, what you can say is, let me think about it. And then you start to talk about what your competency is and probably how you can incorporate it in what they are looking for. Please remember that you are not the only one that they're interviewing, so you want to put your best foot forward. And talking about best foot forward, you want to be yourself. Be yourself, no matter what. You know what? I don't know if you all know about Sir Richard Branson. He is a multi-billionaire, and one thing he says, he does a lot of public speaking, and I love his quotes and stuff like that. But I had an opportunity to meet him once, and I must say he's very down to earth. I remember him saying that one of the things he looks for when he's interviewing people is not even their resume. He says he doesn't even look at a resume until 2 weeks probably after he has interviewed a person. But what he wants to see is whether this person is engaging, whether they have personality, whether they have life, whether they can bring something new to the organization. So I don't want us to be blinded to think that, hey, I have a degree, I have a master's, hey, the job is mine. No. You have to bring something fresh to the table. Make the employer feel that without you, the company is gonna be losing somebody good. All right, somebody valuable in the organization. So you want to be able to be yourself and to really get into the interview with the interviewer or interviewers. And that too can be very nerve-wracking when you're going before a panel interview. Now, what I want to say is, when you're talking with a panel interview, please remember to make eye contact. Eye contact doesn't mean that you're staring down the interviewer, but you're looking at them in a soft manner and you're taking your gaze away a bit, looking at them again. If it's more than one interviewer, you make sure that you have eye contact with each of the interviewer in that interview room that day, because it tells that you are confident and that is somebody that they will want to have on board working in their company. All right. Please remember to do research on the company. One thing you don't want to ask is, so what does this company do? That will show that you're not interested and you haven't done any research on the company. You want to ensure that you have done research and you know what you're talking about, and I'm telling you that is really going to impress your employers. Okay, let me see what else. You can tell the company how you can be an asset in the organization. All right, so you want to be able to sell yourself. And like I said, if you think that you're going to mess things up, make sure that you prepare, make sure that you're practicing. Even if you have a friend, if you have a sibling, husband, wife, whoever it is, you want to go through with them and to kind of walk you through of what might be said in that interview. Okay, you don't want to ever bad talk the previous company that you were working for. That is going to oust your chances of getting that job. You don't ever want to do that. All right, that will give the employers maybe the idea that maybe they're gonna do that to us, so you want to be very careful on what you say in that job interview. You also want to have questions. Never ever leave a job interview and say, oh, okay, you pretty much covered everything, I don't need any questions. No, don't ever do that. Make sure that you prepare at least 3 questions. You may want to ask questions like, so tell me, how does this organization deal with challenges in terms of the department that I may potentially be working in, things like that. So at least 3 questions you want to have prepared to ask. Make sure as well to walk with copies of your resume, copies of your certificates, and so on. And let me see what else. Don't ever say I'll do anything. That will come back to bite you. I know that you may really want the job, but don't ever tell your potential employer that you're willing to do anything. Because if you get that job and the employer is really starting to give you duties that is probably not even in your job description, you are going to have challenges in telling your employer that you don't want to do that job because you already said you're willing to do anything. Okay, so I know that has come back to bite a lot of people, so be mindful of saying that as well. And when you're leaving, please be mindful that you are still being looked at. Guys, do not start undressing and taking off your tie. Ladies, do not go in the washroom and change your heels to a flat and walk out the people building with a flip-flops or a ballet flats on. Just as how you came in, make sure that you leave the way that you came in, and make sure that you leave the establishment as promptly. Do not hang around. Do not start talking with the other staff at the company. Please don't do that. All right, so I think that basically I've covered more or less everything. Well, not everything, but I think those would be helpful tips. It has helped me, and I would have done a course years ago in terms of business etiquette and protocol standards, and those helpful tips that I got in that course I was just willing to share with you all, and wishing you all the best in terms of when you're going out looking for a job. I want to also tell you all that even if you put your best foot forward, it doesn't mean that you will get a job. Don't be overly disappointed. Don't beat yourself up because you didn't get a job and you put your best foot out. There are many reasons why you probably didn't get a job. Unfortunately, sometimes the company already have in mind who they want, and they're probably just going through a process. Probably you may have said something that may have sort of turned the employers off, and sometimes because you're not the only one that they're interviewing, there are so many other persons that they interview. Maybe someone else had was able to offer them something that they of themselves didn't think about, and you went out of the door with that. So there are many reasons why you may not have been successful. The employers will never tell you why. All you just have to do is keep pushing forward. Remember all the tips that I spoke about. There was also something that I didn't mention in my last video, which I'm also guilty of, is wear mild perfume or cologne on that day. I tend to be, I love to have I like to smell the perfume, but you don't want to have that smell overpowering the room when you get into that room. And just remember, as I said, that you are being looked at. No cell phones, no headphones, no shades, no chewing gum, anything of that sort. Make sure that your phone is switched off. You don't want, while you're in that job interview, your phone rings off. Switch off the phone, okay? So I hope that what I shared here was helpful, and I want to also remind you all the services that I offer. House of Elena is also a company that I have. What I do is I do interior decorating, I design my own clothes. I'm also working on my own fashion line, so look out for that. I teach dining and table etiquette, table setting, so persons who may be shy on going to a full class, I do one-on-one sessions as well. So I also give helpful tips in terms of your overall appearance. If you want to improve on your overall appearance, I do that as well. And before I go, I just want to touch on one thing, as I talked about dining and table etiquette. For those of you who are going on a job interview in which your employer invites you to have lunch, and that job interview is going to be in a restaurant setting, please be mindful of what you do while you're at that table. Do not go ordering, I want a steak well done. It is not really a dining experience. It is sometimes the employer wants to test you to see how you will conduct yourself, especially if it's a job where you would be representing the company or you'd be traveling extensively, and the company probably just wants to see how you will conduct yourself in that setting. So maybe I can probably do another video on that later on in terms of how you can conduct yourself during an interview that is conducted in a restaurant setting. All right, so take care, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you double if you watched the entire video, and look out for more exciting videos from me very soon. Take care. Bye bye.